All right, so this is what I want to show you guys. This is my Crash 300 charts, but I want to build it from the ground up, right? So when I start out with a new chart, this is what I start out with, and then I change my template back into I have a template, clear template, right? So this is how I like my charts to always look like, right? And then just a minute, I need to still, okay, I think that's fine. And the bottom part of it, my charts, okay, perfect. All right, so this is what I'm looking at, right? So first things first, I go on a higher time frame, and I need to know the directional bias of my what my outlook is, or my bias. I need to know the directional outlook. So when I squeeze in my chart, you can already tell that we're in a downtrend. This is on the H4, right? And I don't want to complicate things, but I'll just stick to the H4. So we can clearly see that we have multiple break of structures to the downside. This is one break of structure, okay? Okay, this is one break of structure to the downside. This is another break of structure to the downside, right? This is a break of structure right there. So, but this is where our focus is, right? This is where our focus is. And now that price has done what's a break of structure to the downside, what are we looking for next? So when I know, right, this is my directional bias, which is bearish, order flow is bearish, then we see the break of structure to the downside. Having done that, I will identify my trading range, right? So my trading range is between I like to keep things very straightforward, simple. My trading range is between that high and this low right here. That causes break of structure. So what I'm going to do next is to pull out my Fibonacci tool and then draw it all the way from the top, right, of my high right there, my lower high, right, and then my lower low. And so my expectation is to see price trade back into premium if we have to continue in the downtrend format, right? So that is what my expectations are. So now that I have marked my trading range or my dealing range, I could say that this is my range high. Okay, I'll call that my range high. I'll call this my what? My range low. Yep, that's my range low right there. So what am I looking out for next? I'm going to identify, since now this is where I would like to trade from. Sorry about that. I like to trade from this zone here, right? Anywhere between. So I'm going to take my trade anywhere between uh, the 100% and the 50%. Anywhere between here is where I'm going to look to take my trade. So what am I looking for next? I would find or mark my POIs, right? My point of interest. So I'll just go in quickly. This is a point of interest, right? So this is a no bullshit video, right? So this is my point of interest one, right? And why am I taking that as a point of interest? First, I see that this is where some, a few buyers stepped in, and this zone was what led to the break of structure, like you can see to the downside here. So this is my POI 1, and I'll just mark it as that. This is my POI 1, right? So what other POIs can I see on this chart? I can see another POI, right? This is another POI right here. So this is what my POI2, right? That's my POI2. Now that I have identified both POIs, right? I mean, if you want me to do a separate video that talks about how to know, how to identify your POIs, you can let me know in the comment section, and then maybe in my next video I'm gonna do that, right? So having marked this, we can see that we have imbalances on both of these, right? We have imbalance here and we have imbalance here. So price may want to come into POI1 and then we'll begin to see that reaction to the downside, or price may come into POI2 before that reaction to the downside continues, right? So that realignment of the order flow, so to say. Now that we have identified that this is what price is going to do, so there's a way I trade and I mark what my open price. I cannot share that in this video, so if you want me to share that in another video, you can let me know, and then I'll be glad to share that with you guys. Okay, so I just mark this. Let me see, the time is 9:26, my time, my zone. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, so that's my open price, right? Where price open for the day. So I'm expecting that price is going to return to that zone. Okay, uh, I'm expecting that price will return to that zone. But anyways, let me change this back to, I'll leave it on this color. So I don't use candle patterns to trade, but I have very good knowledge, very vast knowledge about candle patterns and how to interpret candles. So what I'm seeing right here looks to me like a what you call what's the name of this again? You call this a, okay, when I remember I'll let you guys know. Okay, so tweezer bottoms, right? This is what I look at it as, tweezer bottoms. And when I see tweezers, I can think of tweezers like you see tweezers here, tweezer tops here, which is like a sign of reversal and price reversed, right? Now price is reversing here, but that is not our focus, right? SMC is our focus. But how do I get in on this trade, this retracement buys, right? So having known that our direction and where we are waiting for price to react from, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fall back to a lower time frame. Why am I falling back to a lower time frame? I want to um, look for confirmation entries for my buys to show or let me know that this is a reversal, an actual reversal or a true reversal, and then I can actually hop in and then make some very good money before joining back in the trend, or in the directional flow of the market. So I can go back into 30 minutes time frame. I like to use 30 minutes time frames a lot. And what can we see here? This is beautiful, right? This is beautiful, really, really beautiful. So we can begin to identify the flow and say that price broke structure to the downside here, broke structure here. So we can see this as a low. I can see this as a low, but here, this is where I'm interested in, where the trend direction changed. So we can see that price gave us a low here and put an equal high up there and broke this low, right? So I can call that a sweep of liquidity, right? Sorry, I'm not using what you call it now. I'm not using TradingView, so I use my Meta 5 on my PC, and this is very much how I've been using it for the past year. Okay, so this is a break of structure, micro break of structure. I can call that a sweep of liquidity. And then you see this, in fact, that's not it. This is actually where that my point of interest is. So you can see that sweep of liquidity right there, just by that candle, right? And what do we see next? We see a consolidation right here, right? Let me change the color, and I think this should work. All right, we see a consolidation. No, this color is not bright. I'm going to change color to something blue. All right, we see this consolidation right here, right? And what happens next? There is an internal break of structure, right? You see that internal break of structure here. The equal highs got taken out, and then what did price do? um, Price retraced back into a zone, right? So we see now that price has shifted internally to the upside. So let me go to 15 minutes time frame because you see this very clearly, right? So look at the sweep of, or the stop hunt right there, right? After a bit of consolidation, price, you know, took out the stops of buyers, right? Early buyers, and then price got into a consolidation mode and then broke structure to the upside. So what do we see next? We see that retracement back into a POI. So if I was going to take this trade, I would have marked two POIs, right? So this is POI 1. Now this is on a lower time frame, right? This is POI 1, and then I have POI 2 right here. Okay, POI 2 right here. So what did price do? Price reacted from my open price of the day, right? And as you can see, price tapped in very nicely. Now I would really confirm that this POI would hold, compared to, no, I mean, when I see that there are certain things I'll see to be very sure that okay, a POI is going to hold, right? And something here that makes me trust this POI is the fact that there's inducement right here. You see, so immediately it broke structure. We saw that price gave a very pullback on the 15 minutes time frame, and this is where some buyers would impulsively just get in on the trade. Why are they getting in on the trade? Because support and resistance traders, they believe that after a breakout you can just take the buys and then put your stop loss just a bit below, and then look at what happened. Price took them out, right? And then price begins to go in our direction, right? So if you were to get in on these retracements buys, this is a very beautiful trade if you ask me. And there's also the fair value gap left behind by price, which price filled, you see right there, right? There's also fair value gap here, and then of course right here we have tons of liquidities where price could have just invalidated this POI1 on lower time frame, took out the stops, and then tap into this POI, and then we'll push the upside. So this POI1 on the lower time frame is called my decisional POI, which led to the break of structure internally, and this POI2 is called my origin POI. Why? Because that is where the move to the upside began, that actually caused this break of structure to the upside. Okay, now we see that um, price, if we go back to H4, right, always trust your higher time frame point of interest, right, or your structure, higher time frame structure. Now I'm not going to get in, so this is where early sellers now jump in to begin to sell. Okay, I actually would not jump in to sell right here. Why? Because price has not pushed into the premium level yet. So what I can see happening is just some form of filling in of the imbalances before price pushes to the upside. And it begs the question, why did price react from here? Okay, so we can see that this is a hidden base, right? Drop, base, drop, and price came back into the base and then began to drop, right? So this is a point where you can let's say that you got in. So I'll go back to 15 minutes time frame, right? So let's say you got in on this trade just right there, okay, and then you rode all the way to this zone. Now 50% of this zone is 50 pips already. You have made 50 pips on this trade, and the way Crash 300 works is such that this move with the lowest lot size of 0.05. So I'll just make things very easy to understand. I'm just gonna put a limit right there, and then I'll put a take profit of 7887 and my stop loss at 7357. So if you were to get in on this trade, your stops would have been $4, right? And your take profit at 50 pips would have been $24. Now this is with the lowest lot size of 0.05. If I pull out my calculator, I hope it shows. Yeah, it's showing on this trade. So if I pull out my calculator, 0.1 lot would be times 2 of what you would be making, 24.77. So let's say 24.77 times 2, which is 0.1 lots, you'll be making almost $50, right? If you had used 0.2 lot, you would have made times 2 of 24.77, right? So let's say, yeah, that's how it works, right? Times 2 of this money, right? So times 2 of this is 99, about $100. With this 50 pips move, you would have made that money clean, easy peasy, and you would have made that. Bank that first, right? So I always like to secure profit, right? So because I know that price has reacted from this zone, and internally this is a structure where price is already giving us a high, right? This is a high right there, and then um, I think I'll say this is a low, this is a high, right? Because there's a break of structure within this consolidation. So this is a low, this is a high for me, and then this is a low, right? I would say this is a high for me, and then price broke structure here, right? So I would see or consider this as tons of liquidity areas where price can decide to come back into. So again, if I would want to scale in on this trade, this is my decisional POI to get in on a buy, right? To get in on a buy, that's my decisional POI. And for me, it will be too risky to get in on a buy here, even though I know that price needs to get in above 50%, right? But with 50 pips, I'm okay, right? I'm okay with this trade. All I just do is, if you are the type of trader that wants to just, break even, so you can break even. So it's a break of structure. You can break even right here, right? You break even at that zone, and then you just you've secured a little bit of profit. Okay, so that is how I take my trade. And honorable mention here, because I use SMC or ICT to take my trades. If you're a retail trader that uses support and resistance or trend lines, I'll show you that trend lines also work. Okay, so I'm going to use my equidistance channel trend tool to draw my trend lines and have you see what is happening right here. Okay, can you see that? Can you see that, guys? So what is happening right here, right? I mean, the bottom one doesn't have to be really perfect for me because that's like a minor trend line. The one I'm looking out for is the one at the very top, which is acting as what, a resistance. Now you see that for trend line traders, they would say they are going to they want to see a third touch, right? This is touch 1, this is touch 2. So touch 3 will be somewhere around here, and then they can begin to sell, right? So you see that this actually works. If I go into my lower time frame, you can see what is already happening, right? And then I can also pull in another trend line, which try to touch at least 2 points to make a trend. Okay, so this is like a rough sketch here. One, touch one, we'll have touch two right here. If I go in even more, I get touch one there, touch two here, touch three here, and price broke out. So if you're a breakout trader, right, you would already notice this price broke out here. And then of course we didn't see a retest quickly, but I can show you something quickly again. If you are a support and resistance trader, I mean, these things work, right? It's just that a lot of times people don't know how to use these strategies. Now, I think I can see the zones right here, right? So I'm going to draw zones of support and resistance very quickly, so that you can tell, you would see very clearly that these things actually work, right? So price tapped in on this support level and then pushed to the upside. For the sake of time, I don't want to go back in history to show you that this is a valid support zone, maybe an area of support, right, for price. Now you can see how that price came in on this zone, pushed to the upside, broke it, and then tried to break it here, and then reversed a bit, and then pushed to the upside. Now this support turned, this support right here turned resistance, and this resistance right here turned support. So price has been consolidating and consolidating. All right. Now the moment I see that price breaks out of this descending channel and then breaks a support or a resistance, right? And then that resistance turns into a support, and I can see multiple reactions to price at this zone. I take a buy, right? My stop's just below the support level, right? And then what happens? You see how price just moves all the way to give us the 50 pips, right? So these things actually work, right? It actually works. You can even look at it from this point of view also. So if I draw supports of zones of support and resistance, you can see that at that zone it tallies with my hidden base right there. So this is already acting as what? As a support level, right? So price taps in, pushes away, and then price breaks it in the interim, then pushes and then tries to break, um, but couldn't break. So this place acts as support, and price pushes to the upside, breaks it right here, and now price has come back in here, right? So if I was going to take my trade here, my target POI, my target profit level would be this zone of support, right, or resistance right here, because it was support here and then it turned resistance here, right? I'll take my profit here and then just be on the safe side instead of holding the trade all the way to the zone here to give me a third touch, right? You see. So I've shown you in this. I'm going to be ending this stream right now because I honestly didn't want it to go so long, but I'm sure you gained value already. I could go on and on and on and on to show you how that trend lines work, support and resistance work, and in fact, for the sake of time, I would have just, okay, maybe I should just do that quickly so I can pull out my RSI just to spot divergence, right? So we can see that price is giving us lower lows, and then right here we see price giving us higher highs, right? You see that lower lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? Can you see that? So what does that tell me? It tells me that the trend is already depleting and price is at a point where, in fact, if we go on to the weekly, so I'm going to close with this, right? If we go on to the weekly, I like to see the weekly, right? You see that price has broken structure to the upside right here, right? And this needs to be straight, sorry. We see price has broken structure to the upside, right? And what did price do? Going by um, what I just shared with everyone, once price breaks structure, I identify my dealing range. So between that zone, that's my range high, and somewhere around here, possibly as my range low, right? And then what do I do next? I pull out my Fibonacci tool, and then draw this guy all the way to the top right there, right? Now what can we see? We see that price has traded way into discount, right? And so what levels of interest will I be looking out for, right? So firstly, of course I would never get in on the trade here, because this is still at premium, right? So that point is a no for me. And then the next point I'll be looking out for, because this is a higher time frame, right? I'll be looking out for this point, right? Of course we see that price tapped in here, and then we did what? We sold, we bought all the way. Now if we go by what I just mentioned about support and resistance, you can take your profit out here. Remember, this is on the weekly, guys, and this is week 1, week 2. You will have made a ton of money, right, just buying this retracement, right? But yeah, that's POI1, right? So POI1 sold for a bit, and what did it do? It gave us equal lows right here, equal lows, right? And the presence of equal lows, which is just signaling to me that this is like an SMT trap. Again, if you want me to do more videos about these concepts, you just let me know, and you see how price came in to clear everything. So where is the other POI I will be marking out or looking out for? This one right there, that's another POI. So this POI got invalidated, then this is another POI I'll be looking to take my trade. And then what happens here? It got invalidated again, right? So where is the last or another POI I'll be looking out for? This one has already been mitigated by price, right? But however, I like to use this rejection candle as a point of interest, right? And we can see that price has already gotten in on that zone, right? In fact, let's go back to the weekly, and um, this this right here, price has already tapped in on this zone, so that is no longer going to be my point of interest. So my point of interest is going to be this zone right here, right? So because this is in a weekly time frame, I'll just go into the daily as a day trader, and then see how price is beginning to react from that zone. So does it look like we have any chances of price pushing up from this zone? Absolutely it does, right? So if I refine this further and use that zone, you can see that price is already tapped in on the zone, right? And this is where price beginning to react from. So what do we do next? I would just mark this right there, and then I think hold off on this one. So this becomes my point of focus. So on my H4, I'm just going to come in and then see price is giving me very nice reactions right here. So on the lower time frame is where I go in to now confirm that, okay, um is price now shifting right in the direction where, I mean, this is a lower time frame, owing to the fact that we're coming from the weekly time frame, right? So what do I look out for to give me confidence that price is going to change direction? I'm going to look out for a break of this high, right? And let's go back to our um, RSI, which just shows divergence. You can see that divergence is clear right now, right? Which shows us that the trend, the downtrend or bearish trend, is depleting into our POI, and then we can begin to look for buys, right? But we cannot just begin to buy immediately, okay? My trusted long buys will come in when I see price break this high, okay? But in the interim, I'll just keep trading, in direction of the trend, right? So watch out for a breakout of this channel, right? Watch out for a breakout of the channel. Watch out for a break of this. Watch out for a break of this zone. Yeah, watch out for a break of this zone. So looking at price breaking out of this, like breakout, 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 and then possibly use this point of support to do a retracement back in here, just like what we saw on the lower time frame. I think is on the 15 minutes, just like what we saw here, right? So it's just a rinse and repeat process, like happening all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time, right? So I'm going to end here, and I hope that you guys got value. And yeah, subsequently I'll be doing this, so let me know in the comment section if you found value, and if you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer them.